Welcome back to the Max Your Dash podcast. Thank you for listening, liking, and now watching. My name is Steve, your host. I'm here with my co-host, Nate. We are without Mark today. We got some fun stuff to talk about. We are the number one personal finance podcast in the entire world. Number one.
It's crazy. I can't believe we got to the top of the charts this quick.
I can't believe we did that. Yeah, it's kind of nuts. Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday.
How you doing?
Dude, I'm doing fabulous. Yesterday was Valentine's Day.
Oh, yeah.
This is a Max Your Dash moment? Should I just get right to it?
Go ahead.
Okay. I'm a big foodie. Yeah, I made chicken shawarma last night.
What's that?
It's like a Mediterranean style dish. It was phenomenal.
Shawarma.
Yeah,
I've heard of shawarma.
I've kind of gotten really into that, like trying like Indian foods, Mediterranean foods, Greek foods, whatever. I love the spice game in that part of the world.
You like a little kick to it?
Some of it does, but this dish does not. It's just very flavorful. The spices are really powerful, and I would highly recommend it.
It's definitely different than having a burger or steak or a pizza.
So yeah, we made chicken shawarma last night for Valentine's Day. What's your Max Your Dash moment?
I got back from Miami. I went to Florida. For my clients who are listening to this, I mean, dude, it's crazy how well my clients know me because they know that I don't travel very much and they always give me crap for it. I was literally on the phone with a client yesterday, and this is like one of my very first clients when I first started the business, like 6 years. She knows me really well. Shout out Tara. She literally goes, we were talking about like she just turned 30 and she like wanted to do more and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, me too. And she's like, well, Steve, to actually do stuff, you gotta leave the house. And I'm like,
was that your first time to Miami?
First time to Miami, first time in Florida was last year with you guys.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So I'm on a 2-year streak of going to Florida.
Back to back. Are you going to move down there?
No, not going to move down there with Jeff. But it was fun. My buddy Phil's getting married.
No state income tax.
No state income tax. But then what do we do with the pod? I got to be here.
Well, we'll figure it out.
Adam? All right, Max Your Dash moments done. Mark isn't with us because he'll probably share this on his next episode, but do we want to say can we say it or no?
Yeah, Mark had his baby. So he's got a good excuse to not be here this week.
He said he was getting FOMO though.
Yep, he'll be back.
He'll be back soon.
Yeah.
Back in action.
Yeah.
We got a cool episode today.
We do.
What does financial freedom truly look like? And I feel like this is changing a lot from what our parents thought financial freedom was to what it's now turning into. I mean, my mind immediately goes to, because I'm always on social media and stuff like that in the personal finance realm. Have you heard of like the FIRE movement?
Yeah. Financial
independence, retire early, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. It's almost turned into financial independence has almost turned into like a cult movement. You know what I mean? Yeah.
There's a lot of people. I've had several clients bringing that up to me. The FIRE movement stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. It's big, which is cool. But we wanted to talk about today what we think financial freedom truly looks like, what it is and what it isn't.
Yep.
I think there's some cool talking points with this that definitely align with Max Your Dash, living a life of fulfillment and joy. We know a lot of, unfortunately, being able to live the life you want is tied towards your finances, not necessarily being able to buy the materialistic things, but being in control of your time, living life on your own terms.
Yep.
That's what Max Your Dash is about. It's tied to your money life. So It's a perfect tie-in, but we'll talk about what we think financial freedom is today.
Yep.
Anything you want to add on that?
No, I think we'll probably get into this more, but I think it's about, what percentage of your day do you feel happy and fulfilled?
Mm-hmm.
And we're trying to just maximize that percentage. It's probably unrealistic that it's 100%.
Right.
But that's the goal, right? Is that we're getting our clients to the highest percentage possible of each day feeling fulfilled and happy.
Right.
And money ties into a lot of that.
That's a tall task.
Some might say we're trying to solve a problem as big as solving cancer.
Right, for sure. Now, I think it's a good place to start with what financial freedom isn't. which I think there's a big misconception around this.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about, we don't think it's an income level or a bank account balance, because we've seen the person that has $1 million in their bank account make $500,000 a year could be less happy than the person who has 10 grand in their bank account and makes 100 grand a year.
Yeah. And why is that? Like, how is that possible, right? That somebody could have 10x the wealth, but not as much, not feel as happy.
Right.
Right. Or not feel even like as secure.
Right. But technically, are both of those people financially free?
No. Probably not.
Right.
Like, so financial freedom and happiness they're pretty intertwined, but they are different things. How would you define financial freedom or financial independence?
One, you aren't stressed about money, but you're not a slave to your paycheck.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah.
And you do the things that you want to do and aren't controlled by your paycheck, or you don't have to do things that make you unhappy for your paycheck.
Yeah.
Everything is on your own terms.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think one of the pitfalls to the FIRE movement is like, it sounds cool, right? That you could have enough money to retire at like age 45 and never work again and live on, a beach. But I bet that those types of people would get miserable really quick. Like, so my issue with the FIRE movement is that people, their brains, like for us to be feeling truly like fulfilled and happy, like we're wired as humans to be doing stuff. Like we have to feel productive.
Yeah.
In some way now. And that could be a very different, like your definition of feeling productive could be very different than someone else's.
Right.
For us, like what I love seeing is like when we're having conversations with clients, and financial freedom might not necessarily mean like, okay, well, our goal is to get enough assets built so that you can just quit your job and never work again. Mm-hmm. But it might be more like, when can we get you to be doing the job that you truly love?
Right.
And you might have to take a big pay cut to be doing it, but you're going to be so much happier. Mm-hmm. So it's a combination of building your balance sheet in a way where you have enough money to supplement whatever that income is going to be. That is I get so fired up when I'm in conversations with clients and we're figuring out how they can get to be doing the thing that they really want to be doing, and maybe it means a big pay cut, but they have the balance sheet built to supplement whatever that income is going to be. And now they're just happy. Yeah. Like because the reality, and we talked about this in other episodes around like that book, Your Money or Your Life. I've heard the stat and I can't think of it off the top of my head. Like what percent of your life do you spend working? It's the biggest percentage of your life. Yeah. So of all the hours that you have awake in your entire life, the biggest percentage of it is you are working. Yep. So we have to, like, if that's true and you're in a job that you hate, that means the biggest percentage of how you spend your time, you're miserable. That's not a way to live life. That's not the max your dash mindset. Exactly. So financial freedom is getting your balance sheet to a place and getting your occupation to a place where you are doing what you want to do with who you want to do it with, when you want to do it. Mm-hmm. Right. Like, and it's complicated, but that's sort of a long-winded answer of like how I would sort of describe it.
So it's not the more wealth you amass, it does not mean you're just going to necessarily be happier, because those people might be caring about the wrong things.
For sure.
So that's one, just to get it out of the way. We do not believe financial freedom is a dollar amount in your bank account or an income level. Yep. Which I feel like what most people think. They got to get to a certain amount earned and a certain amount saved and they are financially free.
Like I remember thinking, man, when I was in college, I was like, if I could make $100,000 a year someday, like, oh my God, I'd be so happy. Yeah. And you get to those milestones and you realize like, didn't really change anything about how I feel necessarily. Yeah, exactly. Now, more money is a good thing. Like that's the other thing. Maybe you have tee this up at some point in here, but when you don't have money, like that's tough.
Not when you don't have financial security. And we'll get into that.
Like having a lot of wealth doesn't guarantee happiness, but also having no wealth probably guarantees unhappiness.
Yes, exactly.
So there's like finding a sweet spot there.
So what does financial freedom look like? the spending has to align with what your values are. And we've talked about this on so many episodes where we're talking about budgeting, max your dash. What do we mean by aligning your spending with your values?
This is a big topic. Like for whatever reason, as human beings, we are status oriented creatures. Like we care a lot about our status in society, and it can really, I think, get the better of us when it comes to how we spend our money.
Yeah.
Like if we're all being honest, right? When you see like somebody, one of your friends, they bought a new car and it's a luxury vehicle, like most people's first reaction is what to that?
That's awesome. Like this person has a lot of money. This person's rich.
And
this
probably
person's
a little
happy.
bit of jealousy.
Oh yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. Or when someone buys that dream house or something like that, right? They're like the first reaction that humans tend to feel is envy and jealousy, and they get jealous. So then that starts to drive maybe how they're going to spend their money. And that's just not really, that's not healthy, So, right. And but it is just it's a natural process within human beings, I feel like. And so spending in alignment to your values means, first of all, are you clear on your values? Like, who are you? Who do you want to be? And spending money in alignment to those things is so critical. And it sounds, I don't know, maybe a little out there, like who actually does this. But if you do take the time to figure out who you want to be and what actually makes you happy, it gets easier to be the kind of person who's like, I don't really, like, I'll use myself as an example. I don't really ever want to be somebody that like I don't care about cars.
Right. Cars
are a massive expense, and it doesn't make me any happier or less happy. Like if I have the top of the line truck or a mid the line truck, or like, I don't know that that's going to really change much about how I feel every day, but I know what does make me feel really good.
Yeah.
Things like hunting and spending time outdoors. So saving my money to be able to go buy hunting land meant that I couldn't go get a new truck.
Right.
But that is the happiness formula for me. So it's like you have to get clear on those things, because it can get out of control. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Where you start just spending money on status oriented things that you don't actually care about, and then you end up like 10 years down the road, you're like, man, where did all the money go that I made?
Right.
And I don't really have anything to show for it, and I don't even remember what car I had 9 years ago.
Yeah.
But that was so important to you then for some reason.
Yeah.
So, and I'm picking on the car thing. Some people are car people, but
yeah. Talk about the like the relationship with that spending with your values, and also being able to spend in relation to time. So like if you're spending, let's say $500 on something, maybe it's a, designer clothing, a TV, a big ticket purchase item, being able to think about it as how many hours did I have to work?
Yeah.
Or maybe a job that you hate, or maybe a job that you like, but how much time did you have to give away to be able to buy that item?
Right. Yeah, we have a couple episodes, I think, on this topic, and it's sort of complicated, but let me try to articulate it. So we get money because we give our time to an employer or to your business that you start or whatever. You provide a service, which is your time, and you get paid dollars in return for that. And then you use those dollars to go purchase items like you're talking about. And so every one of us can calculate how much do we make per hour, right?
Right.
You can just take your salary for the year divided by the amount of hours you work, and that's your hourly rate.
Yep.
And so if I make $100 an hour and this item is going to cost $500, I have to work 5 hours to afford that thing.
Right.
And why that's important, and why I think this is a big mindset shift that I wish everybody would really embody, is that it really makes you pause and think about, is this really that important to me? Because it means I got to work another 5 hours to replenish the bank account.
Yep. And
what we're trying to do at the end of the day is have complete control of our time. And so many people, again, are in jobs that maybe they don't really love, and most of the time they're kind of miserable doing them, but they do it for the paycheck. But then they're spending all the paycheck on things that they don't even really care about either, and just forcing them to have to keep working those hours in that job that they don't like, being unhappy to keep the spending behaviors going.
Right.
You know?
Exactly.
How'd I do on that?
No, that was good. The $100, like if you're thinking about it, and even not even $100 an hour, but $50 an hour, that's even bigger, right? You got to, that's 10 hours of your time to purchase that item. Essentially, if you get in that mindset, and you don't have to be that crazy about it, obviously, but if you get in that mindset, it just lets you be more intentional with your spending.
Yeah.
And that is a big piece because, 90% of your financial life is going to be controlling your spending and your cash flow and stuff like that. Yeah. So it's a big piece of financial freedom.
I think a really good exercise for people to do if you wanted to try to go down this path a little bit is to just pull up like your last 30 days of transactions and go through them one by one and ask yourself the question, like there's certain things you spend money on that are a need, like groceries, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not talking about those. Go through the things that you bought that are more discretionary and ask yourself honestly, like, did I get enough value from this purchase? Like, did I get enough fulfillment from it to justify the amount of time I have to work to pay for that item? And just like keep score. And when I did that, I just started to realize, like, when I look back on that coffee I bought or whatever, or the convenience of I didn't pack lunch today, so I went and bought sushi. And when I look back on it, I'm like, that didn't do anything for me. Mm-hmm. So like you said, it's about getting intentional. So I think that would be a really, really good exercise for people to do if you want to try to understand what we're talking about.
So spending aligned with your values and time. The next one, which we are going to backtrack a little bit, is financial security. So we're not going to say that we were wrong, but we said that financial freedom is not a dollar amount or an income amount. But like you said, you still have to have money because things cost money to be able to do the things you want. Yeah. So you have to have financial security.
Yeah.
What does financial security mean?
Yeah. So for you to ultimately be happy, you have to try to eliminate worry from your mind, and humans tend to worry about things. And so like one of the most fundamental things that everyone has to have in place is an emergency fund. If you don't have an emergency fund, you're always worrying. Mm-hmm. And so like, yeah, we don't think that it means there's not a dollar amount that signifies financial freedom, but there's definitely a baseline. And it is, you have to have an emergency fund in place. Yeah. If you don't have one, you're always like one big thing going wrong in your life from being broke.
Yep.
And so that's like you got to have that in place. That will do wonders for your overall happiness, right? And so financial security, I think, means having an emergency fund. Yeah, I think that's like the biggest part of it. There's other parts of it too. But.
Yep. Yeah. So there's a difference between financial security and having a level of income. Like your income has to be able to pay for your bills. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You have to feel like secure from a standpoint of like, okay, my paycheck's coming in, I can keep the lights on at home.
Yep.
That's financial security. Having the emergency fund in case anything bad happens. The foundations of the financial planning home, you need those in place to feel secure so you don't have that money stress.
Yep.
Can't feel financially free without that stuff.
Yeah.
Along with the spending and the financial security, I talk about this a lot with my clients, is the guilt-free spending.
Yes.
So a big piece, of what a lot of our clients like to do is travel, go make memories with their friends, family. They love doing that, and that's awesome. That's them maxing their dash and having those moments. But a lot of the times, whether you're a client or not, I feel like they're feeling guilty doing that because maybe they didn't plan for it. Maybe they're putting it all on a credit card. They feel stressed, right? So like they're doing this thing that they love, but they're not able to 100% enjoy it because they feel guilty around spending that thing, whether it's the big trip or whether it's spending money on something they really like, right? Like the hunting property, for example. If you couldn't afford that, like you're enjoying it, but not to the best you could because you feel guilty doing it.
Yes.
How do you feel less guilty about the purchases and the things that you like to do?
Right. We did a social media post a long time ago about like a flow chart of if you have then this.
Yep.
We need to get like t-shirts made of this where it's like, so there's a formula, I think, for this. Like, so to be able to do true guilt-free spending, it starts with, do you have an emergency fund? Mm-hmm. If yes, move to the next phase. Mm-hmm. Okay. If no, don't buy it. Mm-hmm. Build the emergency fund first. You will feel so much better when you eventually buy that item, even if it takes you 2 years, knowing that you have an emergency fund too.
Right.
Right. So do you have an emergency fund? Yes. Okay, great. Then are you saving enough money to achieve your goals,
Mhm.
right? Like if you're going to go spend $1,000 on a jacket, but you're not on track to achieve your retirement goal or your major purchase goal, that's not good alignment, right? You should be prioritizing the goals that you've set. So do you have an emergency fund? Yes. Are you saving enough money to achieve your goals? Yes. Okay, great. And the third one I would throw in there is, do you have any like bad debt you should be getting rid of that you should be prioritizing first, right? And so if you have, when I say bad debt, I mean high interest rate debt. Like if you got 15%, debt on a personal loan or a credit card, you should prioritize those dollars there first, because that's really going to hurt you.
But what a lot of people are doing is they're taking that trip or doing that thing when all there's no's for all that stuff.
They're not even asking those questions.
Right.
There's no process. It's just like, yep, I want to do it. This is going to make me happy. And that's, honestly, like the max your dash mindset. And we talk about it like, and sometimes I worry like maxing your dash does not mean like go spend money on that trip because it's going to be a great memory for you. Yes, do that if you have financial security.
Yep.
It's a combination of you're financially secure so you can have guilt-free spending and you can truly enjoy and truly be present and not be worried about, man, this might not have been a great decision to spend 10 grand on this family vacation when we don't even have an emergency fund.
Right. Exactly.
So
the guilt-free spending is huge. I feel like that's so applicable to most people. I mean, I hear that literally all the time.
Yeah.
Going back to the relationship with time, what we talked about a little bit with like the actual spending and you having to exchange your time for dollars, and then you got to actually go spend. So you're exchanging time. And I know you kind of have a good take on this, is go back and talk about people not doing a job that they like to do and how that affects your financial freedom and your happiness throughout your life. Like you said, the most majority of your time you're spent is working. And how much do people hate the job or hate whatever they're doing?
Yeah. Well, think about it. So a typical job, you work, let's say 9 to 5, but it's actually more than that, because you got to wake up and you got to get ready for your day. So like maybe you wake up at 7, from 7 to 9, what are you doing for you? Right. You're probably getting ready to go to work, and then you got to drive to work, and then you're at work from 9 to 5, and then you got to drive home from work. And then at what point in the day are you actually finally doing something for you? I don't know, 7 o'clock, 7:30.
Yeah.
So, and then you're awake for what, 2 more hours?
Right.
Well, in your case, maybe 7 more hours. But so you're spending such a large percentage of your day getting ready to go to work, going to work, working, and then going home from work and decompressing. And so the question is simple. How happy are you at what you're doing? And if the answer is not really that happy, then what I would love to see people do is, you can't just go quit your job tomorrow, but you can build a plan to be ultimately getting to a place where you're going to be spending your time on stuff that makes you happy. And so I love having planning conversations with clients where they are, being vulnerable and saying that they're not happy with what they're doing, but they need the money to put food on the table for the families. That's great. You got to do it, right? But we can build a plan. And yes, maybe it takes 10 years to get to a place where you have the balance sheet set up, where you can go do something else. But that is so much better than having no plan to do that.
Yeah.
Because if you go from age 21 to 65, living your life, waking up at 7, getting ready to go to a job you don't like, spending all day at a job you don't like, coming home from a job you don't like, that's 40 years of your life doing that. That sounds terrible. And you can control this.
Right.
It just might take you some time. So that's like what I would hope a takeaway would be for anybody listening, is if you're not truly happy doing what you're doing, let's build a plan to get you to a place where you will be.
Realize you're on the treadmill of life, and you have to be more intentional if you're not happy. Otherwise, those 40 years go by quick.
Yeah.
I am taking a pay cut in a second to do something if I'm not happy with what I do, I would take a pay cut in a second to be able to go do what I do. Now, within reason, because you got to be able to pay like your living expenses, but I will give up pretty much everything to be able to there is nothing better than waking up in the morning and knowing that you love what you do. And I think that's a very low percentage of people.
I think it is too. And you see these influencers, these clips all the time of people preaching that type of stuff. and I know there's going to be some eye rolls out there. Well, we're not. The point of what we're saying is you can have a well-designed financial plan that actually gets this thing accomplished.
Right.
Like, I'm not saying roll your eyes like, if you don't love what you do, you need to go build a business.
Right.
Like, we're not those people.
Yeah.
But you can build a financial plan that gets you to a place where you can actually have options on the table. Like, you know what? I'm going to go cut greens at a golf course because I want to be in the sun all day in the summer and outside because I've been cooped up in an office my whole life.
Yeah.
Cool. You're going to make 40 grand doing that. We're going to supplement your income with this bond portfolio over here and blah, 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 blah. And we can make it happen. But it never if we didn't take time to actually lay that out.
It's delayed gratification too, which is why I feel like a lot of people because like you said, it's not going to happen overnight.
Yeah.
Sometimes it'll take 10 years.
Right? Doesn't it, Steve? So much of this comes back to spending in alignment to your values. Because I've seen people who make a lot of money constantly chasing that next bigger job that even though they know they're still going to be just super stressed out.
Yep.
Because there's this like, how easy is it to the whole keep up with the Joneses mentality?
Right.
Got to buy the bigger house. I got to have the nicer car. And all of that stuff is trading time. And then you're always in a position where you have to work this high stress job to afford your lifestyle.
Yeah.
So if you're not clear on your values and you're not spending in alignment to your values, you're making this harder to accomplish for yourself. And I think it can become like addicting almost, where you're chasing that next
game,
that next big paycheck or whatever.
I mean, dude, we covered everything. It is like each one of these little things you can have an entire episode about.
Yeah.
But like, this is perfect from a mindset standpoint. If financial freedom is something that you're thinking about, which if you're listening to this, you probably are. But to review, financial freedom is not a income level or a dollar in your bank account. Financial freedom is spending aligned with your values, financial security, true guilt-free spending, and having a great relationship with time. Whether that's spending in relation with time or having a job that you love. You truly love what you do.
And you're surrounding yourself with people you love being around. Yeah.
Right. If you're doing that, you're financially free, you're maxing your dash. I mean,
life is good.
That's a lot. I mean, we don't even do that, all that stuff.
What do you mean?
Like, I'm definitely not, every purchase I make is not aligned with my values.
No, dude. But if we don't talk about this, like, it's just so easy to just like keep making the same mistake over and over and over again your whole life. And then you're like, what do I have to show for this?
Right.
Someday you like wake up and you're like, where did all that go?
Right. Yeah. Cause imagine if you do think that financial freedom is $1 million in the bank, you just had to trade 30 years of your time to get $1 million in your bank and you weren't happy doing it. Are you really happy now? Probably not. And that's the track that most people are on.
And maybe they will be like, you know,
right.
But yeah, so it's status games and how it all ties into financial planning is fascinating to me.
We are definitely advocating for you to save a lot of money and make a lot of money too.
I love when our clients make a lot of money.
Make a lot of money and save a lot of money. That is not what we're saying, but you should not tie your happiness to the amount of money you have or the amount of money you make. That's what we're saying.
You just need to be clear on what happiness looks like for you. Right.
Okay. Any last thoughts?
No, I'm good.
Okay. I think if there's anything else, I think that's it. Financial freedom as defined by Dash Capital.
Yes.
This is it. If anyone tells you anything else, they're wrong.
I agree.
All right, guys. Thank you for listening and watching the Max Your Dash podcast. We will catch you in the next one.
Securities offered through Securities America Inc., member FINRA SIPC. Advisory services offered through Security America Advisors Inc. Dash Capital Advisors and Securities America are separate entities.